record this meeting real quick. Yeah. We're gonna wait around let's say 4 more minutes and then I don't know how much people are gonna come today, so let's just maybe some people are running late, so save some time. Okay, can everyone see the screen okay? Hopefully you guys can. Yes, I was on the wrong slide before. But if you guys can just type in the chat, or you can just like give me a thumbs up. Some other people in the waiting room, so just let them. Maybe once. Sorry, I just had to close my door real quick. Okay, so I guess for the interest of time, we can just get started right now. For other people who are gonna join, I guess they won't really miss anything. It's just mostly today. So real quick, just welcome. This is the Python for Beginners class, and this class is I'm just gonna, well, at least for this class, I'm just gonna talk about like I guess what is Python in general, and then we're gonna get started with REPL, which is the coding language we're gonna be coding on for most of the time, and then we're just gonna get into our first really quick lesson. It won't take too long because today is mostly just like an introduction class that we're gonna I guess let's get into it. So hi, my name's Neil. I guess you can't really tell from my name on Zoom, but my name's Neil, and currently I'm a rising junior, and I've been coding for I guess quite a bit. It's been almost like 7 years. So I have had a lot of experience with coding, and mostly right now I'm mostly focused on like USACode, like which is the USA Coding Olympiad, and other like competitive coding like I guess competitions, as well as a bit of research relating to like AI and stuff. So I've had a bit of experience with coding, and I'm pretty confident that I can hopefully do my best to teach you guys the basics of Python, so you guys could um, hopefully this class can like inspire you guys to continue with down the road of this computer science thing. So what exactly is computer science, right? I'm talking about a lot of like coding and stuff, and this class is well related to coding. So what exactly is computer science? So computer science is actually, it's a field mostly on computers and their systems. And mostly you can think of it as a hardware and a software area, like two like sections, but mostly this class is going to be talking about the software area instead of the hardware, I guess, section. So what we're gonna do is well, I guess talk about the coding and stuff, which is mostly just related on the software section of computer science. And we studied this field in order to make better technology with machines and AI. It's like a new thing that has like popped up, and other algorithms in order to make our lives and other people's lives much easier. So yeah, it's mostly just like a convenience thing if you think about it in like a generalized sense. So yeah, this is a quick. Let me annotate real quick. This is a quick like I guess graph that I drew of like computer science is mostly an umbrella term. It doesn't really represent a specific thing in general. It's mostly just I guess a bunch of mini things overall, and we just combine it all into a thing called computer science. So one thing that so right now we're gonna teach about the early stages of computer science, mostly just if you ever heard of Scratch, like the block coding thing, and other basic, I guess, coding languages and their syntax and stuff, which basically just means syntax is basically just means how you write something, right? And other basic ideas and algorithms related to that specific coding language. And in my opinion, at least from my experience, there are two branches that you can go off of after. And one is the algorithm section and one is the web and game development section. So the algorithm section includes like, AI, you can do robotics, you can do what I'm usually doing right now is use code right now. And it's mostly just how can I optimize my code in order for it to do some numbers, like transform some numbers to solve some problem, right? Or you can go into web and game development, which is mostly just a more creative side. So if you guys are like artists or like you guys like build and create things, web and game development is mostly just you know how to code, right? You have a good idea of how to code. You can solve some problems, but it's mostly just how you make things with your code if you kind of go that, right? Since I'm not really familiar with this, if you guys really want to know more, I can try to help you guys out a bit on this, but I'm mostly familiar with the algorithm side, so I'm going to talk about this a little more. So then this algorithm side will branch off into two more things. One thing right now is like when you're just starting to learn, you just get into like some competitions that will enhance your skills on coding. It will deepen your skills on some ideas, some thinking, some logic, a lot of math, and basically just reinforces your coding skills a lot. And after that, you can either go directly to AI or whatever, or you can do this first, which is what I'm doing, and you can later jump into this, which is what I've done, I guess. And after there's some, AI and data science. This is very, very new. It only popped up maybe like 20, 30 years ago. So this is like very, very new material and stuff. So definitely if you want to get into this field and you do well, you can definitely make a lot of contributions to this. And after, there are always a lot of projects that come with computer science. If you study computer science and you do web and game development or you do AI data science or whatever, you can always make projects and later you can do research. And eventually you can land a job with some data scientists, a bunch of jobs relating to computer science. And computer science, if you just want one big takeaway from it, it's a big, big field with a lot of different parts that you can do. So yeah. And if you guys can you guys hear me okay? Like I just want to 100% make sure I don't like talk and then you guys don't understand anything I say. That'd be like kind of bad. And also if I'm ever going too fast, because sometimes I do talk a little bit too fast and I might I guess mix words a little bit. So if that happens, please just let me know. Okay, I'm trying my best to slow down, but sometimes I guess the habit just gets to me and then I go like a little too fast or something. But remember, please just let me know. I'm just here to help you guys the best I can. So try to let me. Okay. And then yeah, so this is basically a generalization that I was talking about. There are many, many things in computer science. So yeah, I'm just gonna skip this guy. There's a bunch of words. That's just one big paragraph. But yeah, I've condensed it into two main fields. It's mostly just web development and the algorithm section. And it depends on what you guys want to do. But this class will hopefully inspire you guys to explore, I guess, computer science in a sense. But I'm mostly gonna be talking about this stage and later on this stage. So let me quickly move on. So I'm going to give you guys a quick problem. So now you guys might be thinking I've just talked about a bunch of like uses of computer science, but like one big thing to prove to you that it's actually useful. So here's like a problem that I guess I'll just read out to you guys. So pretend you have a friend Bob, right? And Bob has a bunch of homework problems, right? And Bob has one homework problem, right? And that homework problem says that he's willing to give you a bunch of money if you help him solve this one homework problem. And let's just say it's a very important homework problem or something. And that homework problem will say, given a million numbers, right, we're going to calculate the sum of all the numbers in that series, meaning that basically all we're going to do is like 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4, all the way to like plus 1 million. 1 million, right? And if you guys are familiar with like some math stuff, there's a formula to do it, but pretend that this formula never existed and it's illegal. But let's just say this formula doesn't exist, right? So how would you do this, right? If I did a quick Google search on this and it says that it took, in order for you to write down a million numbers, it'll take around 34 days to write them out. Entire days, like 34 straight 24 hours. So it will take a little bit, and that really just counts as writing it down and not actually calculating it. So well, it's gonna take a lot of time, right? So like, how do you guys solve this problem? Like, if Bob really just came up to you like right now and just gave you this problem, like how'd you do it? Like, I want to hear some like ideas in the chat, or if you want, you can always unmute. If there are multiple people unmuting, just like raise your hand. I'll just call the person that raise your hand first. So you guys can type ideas into the chat. We can unmute or yeah. Any ideas? How do you guys solve this problem? this 1 million number addition problem. I'll give you guys maybe like until 4:12 or yeah 4:12 then. Maybe you guys are some people are still typing. So how would you guys? Okay, so I do see some good ideas in the chat. One really interesting thing. Well, I'm like reading your explanation right now, and it's a cool idea, but like I just want you to like, can you like elaborate? Like I'm not really sure what you like. Okay, yeah. So I see, yeah, you can use Excel as well. But let's just say you had to do this like by hand, like that will be a little. Let's just pretend someone said you had to do this by hand, right? Well, that's extremely inefficient, right? So, well, if I were to do it by hand, it's gonna take way too much time, and well, maybe $1 million is worth it, but I don't want to spend 34 straight days in a row. Well, 34, days straight just writing this in. Yeah, a lot of stuff. So, this is a power of computer science. So, I think all of you guys are doing this on a computer right now or some sort of tablet. So a computer is able to process around 1 million operations per second, and there are some better coding languages and I guess better computers that can give you more than 1 million computations per second. It can maybe reach like 1 billion computations per second, like even more. But an average computer runs around 1 million computations per second. So I'm gonna get back to this like solution in a second. But maybe let's talk about some other things that computer science can do. So we can use computer science to solve this problem, and I'll show you guys how in a second. But let me talk about some other things that computer science can do. Here's just a big list, and I'm gonna get into like I guess more examples of it. So one big thing that computer science can do is a big thing right now. It's called data analyzation. So for example, if you have like a bunch of numbers of like maybe like some houses and like the house prices, right? Like computer science is able to somehow analyze like those houses and those house prices and give you some summary or some like pattern that you can like get out of it, right? Because you don't want to like look at 1 million house prices like by yourself and be like, oh, okay, well, you probably won't get a pattern from seeing 1 million things, but computer science can help you do that, which is very good. So again, computer science is basically just a tool to make our lives more convenient, right? So yeah, so here is another thing computer science can do. We can use data that analyzed through computer science, and we can see some sort of trends. So this is a bit outdated, but like COVID a couple of years ago. Here's some graphs that like show how some hospitalization rates for COVID-19 and some other fancy graphs that made using computer science. So one big thing that like, computer science can do is to analyze data. So that's one very important thing. And data is just a bunch of numbers. You can think of it as that. So computer science and data can help us predict things that are going to happen in the future. And this is where I guess AI comes in and machine learning. But like some ideas that data can do, we can stop like disease from spreading by removing it from the source. Like, okay, well, where did this disease come from, right? There's probably a bunch of like data points, like okay, there's a bunch of people that got sick here, and like later on it spread. So we can like target the one specific point that that disease was spreading. Or if you guys have a weather app on your phone, there of course, like how does it know that a week from now it's going to be sunny, right? Or a week from now it's going to be rainy? Well, that's literally done through computer science. It's not a person predicting the future, like just sitting at an office predicting the future. So yeah, I see a couple ideas from the problem before, but those are really good ideas, but I'll show you guys a much better way of doing it with computer science. So yeah, and we have weather stations. They transmit data into some I guess some system, some database, and then we use that to predict or tell the current weather right now. So it's very, very powerful. There's a lot of uses for it. And you guys probably heard of ChatGPT, right? It's a big new thing that occurs. It's very, very powerful, and I do use it sometimes. But yeah, make sure you use it for the right reasons. But there's some like other uses of data. Like this is mostly for like the game development side. Like if you have VR, some self-driving cars, that's more of an algorithm side, and ChatGPT, which is basically I guess a big embodiment of machine learning in a sense. But like you guys, I hope everyone has heard of ChatGPT before, right? If not, just search it up. It's very cool. But yeah, there's some other most big data things that you can like I guess have with a lot of data. Yeah. So do you guys play a lot of video games? Like I'm sure at least some of you do. I don't know like your grades yet, but I'll ask that in the next class. But like does anyone play any games? Yeah. Yeah, me too. Not as much now, but yeah. Okay, so well, if you do play video games or you have a computer, which is how you're in the Zoom meeting, they're all made using computer science. So the reason that I'm talking to you here right now, and the reason you have the games that you have, is because of computer science. That's like the only reason like this is existing right now is because of computer science. So really cool. Here's some random games that I used to play. So yeah, without computer science, you won't have a lot of games that well, you won't have any games basically, or any video games in a sense. So yeah, it allows you to play games, play video games, communicate online, a lot of cool things that you can do with computer science, right? And if you guys use any like Discord, like messenger apps like Discord, Instagram, all that stuff, then that's all thanks to computer science. So computer science does have a lot of many cool uses. And I'll get into some more things outside of just online and stuff. So if you guys, have like, medicine, it's very, well, medicine is good, right? So, and this is very optimistic like thinking, but in our lifetime, like looking at the advancements right now with machine learning and stuff, there's like a lot of hope that like in the future we'll be able to cure many diseases using some sort of medical field things and computer science field things. So this is a very generalized version. It's a lot more complicated, but hopefully like this just highlights how important computer science is to our world right now. And instead of putting medicine to real humans because it might be dangerous, we can put simulated medicine to simulated humans and see, okay, what's the effect in that, right? If a simulated human dies, it's probably better than seeing a regular human die, right? Because that's not very good. So, computer science also has a lot of many uses in the medical field as well. And okay, yeah, we might be able to cure cancer with computer science. There might be things that you can detect cancer cells and treat them accordingly based on like you can see if a patient has these cancer cells and then try to cure that patient before it gets very bad, right? So and also if you guys like space, space is pretty cool and computer science does allow us to travel to space. This is also a bit outdated, but if you guys have heard of the James Webb Telescope, that was made using JavaScript, right? In order for it to send like take cool pictures of space and send them back to Earth, it was made using JavaScript. So that is a coding language. We unfortunately won't be learning JavaScript, but it's one of the languages that was used for JavaScript to be able to transmit messages, pictures back to Earth, right? So, and computer science can allow us to make a bunch of cool things. If you guys see those sci-fi like movies and stuff, those cool spaceships. Well, computer science is able to bring those spaceships basically to life. So, and okay, if you guys hate doing homework, I don't know, like I don't know what grades you guys are in, but if you do hate doing homework, there are some things that could help you do homework, right? And if you ever have a question on anything, there's things made online using computer science that can aid you in your homework and whatever academic things that you need help with. And some examples, ChatGPT does most definitely. Yeah, but I didn't say anything about like coffee, so don't blame me or anything. So yeah, this is a little bit controversial, but if you really want to be super smart, you can implement like a brain chip into your head and transmits a bunch of things, and those of course will be made using computer science. So hopefully all of this just highlights to you how I guess useful and important computer science is for us now and the future. So it's has a bunch of really I guess important uses that like a lot of people are trying to do right now, and maybe you guys can help like make contributions to in the future. So there's a lot of stuff that computer science can do, and hopefully this just inspires you and makes you see like, okay, how much like computer science can do for us, right? So let me really talk about like I guess the more computer science part of computer science is just talking about the uses of it. So computer science is well, it's a coding language, right? You have to code to get into computer science in a sense, for the software part at least. So there are hundreds of coding languages in the field of like coding. And here's some examples of C++, C Sharp, CSS, Java, JavaScript, and Python. So we are going to get into Python in this class. And I'll show you guys in a reason why we're going to use Python. So it's not the snake Python, it's the coding language Python and things like that. So the reason we're going to use Python right now is because it's the most beginner-friendly language there is. Essentially, if you were to look at a bunch of code, the code in the background is not Python, so don't get too scared about that. That's not Python. But if you see these like two pictures right here, these are some things in Python. And if you look at it, you can kind of think of it as like it. Essentially, you can read it as English, right? It's very, very beginner-friendly, and it's specifically designed to be as beginner-friendly as possible. That's how we're gonna learn it, and hopefully, like this gives you like a base, like the base skills of computer science, and you will be inspired to explore more later on. And this class will like just not only teach you the basics, but it'll teach you like other important ideas and thinking of how computer science works. And we're gonna have a bunch of projects and exercises to get you like started on your computer science journey. Okay, so if you guys remember the problem before, the Bob problem, you can do this in literally 2 lines in computer science. So yeah, you can do it very, very easily with computer science. So all you have to do is just take in some list, right, and then print the sum of this. It's very, very quick and easy. And you can even do it with a for loop. I didn't include it here because we're not learning this in this class, but we're going to be learning about inputs in this class. So hopefully you guys are pretty excited to actually learn about Python in general. It's the most beginner-friendly language, and hopefully it makes the learning process a little bit easier. So yeah, let's get started with REPL. We're pretty on time. So I want everyone to go to, let me type in the link in the chat. I want everyone to go into REPL.it. And once you guys are there, give me a thumbs up once you're in the website. When you're in the website, just give me like a thumbs up or type in the chat like, okay, I'm here. And then I'll just guide you guys how to make an account. So REPL is going to be the place we're going to use for coding. Couple thumbs up. Couple. Yeah, REPL.com is the same thing, but you can do REPL.it as well. Okay, I see a couple thumbs ups. So yeah, let's get started. So hopefully you see this screen or something that looks like this. So let me go to REPL.it. So hopefully you see something. Oh, I guess they updated it a little bit. So right now, does everyone see the screen that I'm on? Can you guys see the screen I'm sharing right now? This REPL.it screen. Okay, good. So I want everyone to click login right now. And if you have an account or don't have an account, don't worry. Just click login. When you click login, and okay, it automatically login back. Okay, go, perfect. So now you should see this thing, right? And if you have an account, great, just log in. Or if you don't have an account, that's important. There's a thing right here called sign up, like new to Replit sign up. So I want you guys to all click sign up right now. And we're just create a Replit account. You can use your Google account, your GitHub account, whatever, or you can just put in a username and a password. Since I already have an account, I'm just not gonna create a new one. So just let me know once you guys have created an account. And once you have created an account, you should be able to get into this. Sorry, one sec. You should be able to get into this screen. It should like show something like this. And like REPL. So let me type in the chat again. So REPL.it, or you can do REPLIT.com. I think that also works. So let me know once you reach this screen. So that means if once you reach this screen, it means you've successfully created a REPL account. Okay. Okay, so I'm gonna give everyone maybe like 2 minutes to go to this stage. So once you guys just let me know so I know like okay if the majority of people have reached this stage, we can just move on. I'll maybe wait like 30 more seconds for everyone, just in case. Like maybe the computer slows. Okay, so yeah, once everyone has reached this screen, I want everyone to let's create our oh crap. Okay. So I want everyone to create their first REPL. So does everyone see this create REPL screen on the top left corner of their thing? So I want you guys to click on this, and I want you guys to search. It's either gonna be here or you search up Python. So Python, and don't select any of these. Just select this original Python. This thing like Python REPL, nothing with like the turtle and stuff. Just select this, and then once you guys do it, and then you give it a name. Let's just create like YDRC 2020 24 something. Just like give it a name, right? And then after you're done, you gave it a name and you selected the Python as your template. I want you guys to click Create REPL. And then what it'll do, it should bring you to this screen. And you don't have to worry about this AI thing. This is one of their more advanced things, but you don't have to worry about that. So does everyone see this screen right now? And once you see this screen, you don't have to do anything else, you're good. And we can just move on. So I just want to see this screen right now. Like the screen that has like the run thing on top and then a main.py in the yeah, the template is Python. Don't select anything like Python with turtle, just select Python, like the original one. It might give you some errors. And then yeah, I'll give you guys maybe like 45 seconds to get to the screen. And after you're on the screen, you don't have to do anything else. Then you're good. And then if I'm always looking at this side, this is my second monitor as well, the chat there. So I'm just making sure like people don't have any questions or anything. Okay, so it's like 30 now. So let's move on. So hopefully you guys have created your REPL. If you haven't, please just let me know any like problems and I can try to help you guys after class. So yeah, so you guys should see it around this screen. And then I want everyone right now to type this. I'll teach you guys what this like the actual coding thing right now, but just to make sure everything works, I want you guys to put this into your main.py on the first line. And after you have this, just click run, the green run on the top. And hopefully you see hi come out of this console thing. So let me know if you guys see this on the screen. And if something's wrong, just let me know. Like maybe this is just to test if you did it on the right template. Print. I'll get in a second to what print does in our next lesson, or in the lesson we're gonna do right after this. But you could think of like print like as a quick thing because that's a good question. Print right now basically just means it tells your computer to print something in the console. Basically, you think of it as that, and kind of means let your computer type out whatever you put in as print. Yeah, exactly. Like your computer will type out the thing you didn't print. Okay. Okay, so yeah, let's move on. If it doesn't work, just let me know. Maybe like the language is wrong or I don't know, there's a typo or something. Okay, so let's move on. And here's a little quick extra thing that maybe I should have did before. But if I were to go to this home screen right here, and I were to look at my repos, there are a bunch of repos that we can do before. So this was just like a past class. But like there are a bunch you can access your old repos here, and that's why it's a good idea to give it a name so you can actually like know which repos are which. So yeah, and then just click on this like open repo, and you can see here that this was the old hive that we had before. Okay, so let's move on. Yeah. Okay. And then please name your repo. Don't be like my old account, which I had 73 unnamed repos. But yeah. So try to name your repos. So hopefully everyone has their repo now. So let's get into our first lesson, which is actually variables, inputs, and outputs. So this is the basic thing about Python. So again, any questions, please let me know. I'm trying to help you guys learn this thing the best I can. So if anything doesn't make any sense, please just let me know. Okay. So let's get started. So let's get started with what a variable is. So what exactly is a variable, right? So a variable is a value that is able to change based on conditions and information passed into the computer. So this is a thing from Google, but in a very simpler sense, it's basically a variable is something that could store data, right? And that data could be some sort of number, right? And I'll get it to example, like the types of data that a variable can store. But think of a variable as something that can store data. Okay, that's the general sense. So, um, good. Uh, Denny, what do you mean by what is the class? Like from what? Okay, so just so hi, like you mean hi here in this here? This hi here is not a variable. Because this hi a variable is something that stores data. So this hi doesn't store anything, right? So it's not a variable. But just think of this hi as something that can store data. So for example, A is a variable, B is a variable, and C is a variable. And you let A store a variable by assigning it equal to some data. And you assign it by doing the equal value, the equal sign. So a variable is, so this is a name of the variable. These are good questions, keep on asking them, but this is the name of the variable, right? We can give the variable any single name we want. Like for example, this doesn't really have to be high, right? It could be like cool or something, right? Like it has to be a name, right? You give it a certain name. One thing in yeah, all you have to do is just give it a name, right? It can be any name you want, right? So this is the name, right? In Python, this is the name, and all we do is do equals to, right? And then oh, something else. So kind of. So a variable is essentially something that can store like a data, some sort of data. So right now A is a variable because it stores this 5, which is a data, right? And B is a data. Sorry, B is a variable because it stores like something like this, hello. I'll get into like why like these types of data. Just know that all we do is a variable equals to some sort of data, right? So we do, and these are some examples of the data. So let me quickly move on. Let me know if like this doesn't make any sense, but in a general sense, a variable is something that stores data. Okay, and this is the like you don't have to worry about this. Just a little extra if you do other languages later on. Everybody just defines variables differently. So Yeah. So all we have to do is here's some five main types of variables, right? So for example, we have an integer, a float, a string, a boolean, and data structures. Right now we're gonna get into these three. These are the most important. I guess these four. And this one is a bit more complicated, but we will learn about this in like later on. Okay, so just for now, there are five types of variables, but all you have to know now is like the four types, right? So the types of variables that you can store is an integer, a float, a string, and a boolean, right? And all this is an integer is just a whole number, right? Think of the whole number as like 117, like 3993, right? Or 3993. So like yes, can you guys like type some integers in the chat? Or you can unmute just say something. Yeah, exactly. Like 5, 10, 14, 5 billion. I don't know. Yeah, exactly. So just know that an integer is a whole number, right? And this title, now that I look at it, it might be a little confusing. So a variable is something that stores data, right? And this should just instead of variable, it should have said data. But there are like like five types of data that you can store in variables. Like that was what I was trying to like say. But there are five main types of data that you can store in variables. Okay, so an integer is a type of data, right? A float is a type of data, a string is a type of data, a boolean is a type of data, and a data structure is a type of data, right? So an integer, think of an integer as any whole number, right? That's hopefully you guys understand that. A float is also a number, but what makes a float different from an integer is that a float can be represented as a fraction or a decimal. So everyone knows here what a decimal is, right? It's just anything with like a dot, like 5.1, like 4.3, right? Or it could be a float or a fraction. So a float can be a fraction or a decimal. So here's some examples like 1.7, which is a decimal, 3.2, which is a fraction, 3.14, which is a decimal. So can you guys give me some floats in the chat? Just type any float that you can do. Yeah, exactly. Okay, perfect. Yeah, so everyone seems to be understanding what a float and an integer is. So just please remember the difference between an integer and a float. That's important. Okay, so next let's get into what a string is. So a string, you might have saw in this past one. A string is represented as two quotation marks, and essentially a string is something it's usually used to store words, right? So for example, and strings anything just enclosed inside these two quotation marks, right? Anything in here, this whole thing's a string, right? So like, can you guys give me some strings in the chat? Like a string can also be like this. This is also a string. Why is it a string? Because it's enclosed in these quotation marks. So that's what sets a string. Well, that's what makes a string, is it has quotation marks in there. So can everyone give me like a string? Yeah, exactly. It could be a sentence. It could be like hi, I'm new. This could also be a string. And the only reason it is a string is because it has these quotation marks around it. Good question. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Okay, so yeah. So just know that anything is a string if it has a quotation marks around it. Okay, perfect. So now let's get into booleans. I'll get into this more in future classes, but all you have to know right now is a boolean is a variable, is a type of variable that signalizes true or false, right? It can either be true or it can be false. That's nothing else. So can you guys give me some examples of booleans? And I'm gonna skip data structures because we'll talk about them more as a whole class in future classes. So yeah. So if a boolean can either be true or it could be false. So yeah. If you guys type yeah. And then just know that it can be true or false with a capital T with a capital F. So this is technically not a boolean. So in Python at least. So Python booleans are either true or false, and they're written exactly like this. So one big thing about Python is it's very picky on like what you type in. So for example, like if I made a boolean like true with a lowercase t, Python won't like that. So just know that it's very, very picky But yeah. So let's move on. Yeah, Danny, do you have a question?
Did we just write true or false?
Like for a boolean, so yeah, so a boolean can only be two things, right? A boolean can only be true, written exactly like this, or it can be if false, and it's written exactly like this. Only for Python though. Like different languages define booleans differently, but just for Python, a boolean can only be like this. It can only be true or it can be false, and written with a true is written as a capital T, and false is written as a capital F. Good. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, but I have another question. Like, earlier it shows a screen on the replay, and they had like a bunch of class, and then I couldn't see which class you were pointing at.
Which one? This one?
Like, you said to go into like
This one?
class, like your name.
My name? Like, okay, I'm just gonna go slowly from the start of the rebel page. Tell me when to stop, okay? So here, did did you see which one? Danny? Like which class?
I saw you on the page with like a lot of like demo classes, or like one with like
Oh, sorry, here, one sec. I can't really hear you, but can you repeat that again?
uh
Um, I don't like which class? Like there, we don't have any classes here. Like, you mean you mean? Oh wait, okay. Do you mean this one? Um, this class? Like these classes, or?
yeah, that classes
Oh,
like
okay. So yeah, these are just the names of these are from previous classes. So I did host another Python class before this. So you don't have to worry about this. So right now we have to do YDSC beginner 24 to 25 class. And you can name it, I guess, like class one or something. Right? Like this also works. So yeah, this is the class that we are talking about. You don't have to worry about these classes. Just worry about this class. Okay. Or this is just a name, right? Yeah, it's just a name.
so do I just find the one with the class one?
So you have to create your own REPL. Like you won't. This probably won't show on your REPL screen. This is like my REPLs, and you'll have your own REPLs. So you can give it a name, right? You probably should name it YDRC Beginner Class One. And if you want to look for the code you've written in Class One, you probably would go to YDRC Beginner Class One. This is essentially a name to keep it organized. So yeah, like you won't see, like this. You probably won't see like if I were to put in like this, right? You probably won't see like this on your REPL at least because this is like the REPL that I type on will be different from the REPL that you type on. So it'll be a little different. So yeah. Does that answer your question?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so let's move on. Um, hopefully I'll be able to finish in time today. But here's something quick problem that we should do. I'll give you guys around 2 minutes until 47. So just you can have one, two, three, four. And I do have a bad habit of not numbering my questions later on. So I'll just annotate them with the numbers that they need to be annotated with. So yeah, A, B, C, or D, one, two, three, four. Just type in the chat and then I'll go over the answers in around 2 minutes. Yeah, and then please like just like try to type everything in like one line, just like one ABCD, two ABCD, three ABCD, four ABCD. Because the issue is like if you do like one ABCD and do like another in another chat like two, you might get cut off by like someone else's message and it'd be kind of hard for me to like read all of them. So yeah. And then okay. So I see a couple good answers in the chat. So yeah, around. Okay, I think everyone, you guys all seem to be getting it. So let's go over the answers. So as a quick
wait, I didn't finish.
okay, yeah, sure. I'll go until 47.
但是呢，你可以做你自己的我想试一下，一些我可能
Okay, so it's 47. So I'm gonna really just copy someone's like I guess answer structure that I really liked. And it's not letting me copy and paste. So what? Okay, wait, one second. It's not letting me copy and paste for some reason. Okay, well, it's just kind of being weird. Okay, so let me just pretend. Let me type the answer in the chat right now. So let me actually like find them. Sorry, give us 1 second. Okay, so you guys should have got in this. So for I guess future reference, I would like you guys to type your answers in that structure because if you guys are to do it separately, you might get cut off by other people. So that's like so you guys can do so. The first answer will one. If you look at one is a fraction. Remember, fractions are floats, so it should be C. Number two, this is true, is a boolean, right? Because booleans can be true or false, right? Three, my var equals to 5, so 5 is an integer, and 4, my var is a string because we have these two. So yeah. Any questions? So are we all like confident in these 4 data types? Yeah. Hopefully we are. Okay, so one thing is if you guys remember, variables can be given any single name, right? So for example, also wait, I think no, like this side is wrong. Sorry. It should be so a variable will be having a name, right? With a name, and we're gonna assign it to some data. Yeah, sorry. Oh, I don't know what I was thinking when I was making these sense. But variable with a name equals to data type, right? It should be like that. So hopefully you guys can recall that a variable can be given any name. So one good thing that you guys should probably make a habit is variable names should be meaningful, meaning that your variable name should represent the data that it's holding, right? So let me give you guys a quick exercise that we should do. So remember, a variable name should represent the data type that it holds, right? So like which variable would like be the best name for like your dog's name? Like for example, if I were to store some variable with a name equals to my dog's name, let's just say my dog's name is Bob, right? Like what should I name this? Yeah, exactly. It's C, right? Because well, if I were to ever reference like maybe I'm like I have a bunch of code, right? And then I want to see, okay, I have a variable that stores like my dog's name. I'm probably going to hopefully like think that I stored my dog's name under the variable my dog, right? Like for example, if I did it under like my cat, that's kind of like I would be thinking, okay, I stored my cat's name in my cat, right? So try to make your variable names meaningful. It's a very good example. But later on, for like to make the slide as like simple as possible, I do sometimes name it like X or like N or something. That's the standard convention for like user code problems and other stuff. So I guess I've like taken that into it. But usually when I'm coding like other projects, it's very, very good to name your variables like, you know, my dog, velocity, I don't know, like data, like all that, right? So velocity will store some sort of velocity. Data will store my data, right? And then like, you know, all that stuff, right? And then you can, one big thing I'll talk to you guys later on is comments, but I don't think I'm going to talk about them in this class. But yeah, let's get into the print statement actually. I'm kind of rambling right now. So hopefully you guys remember the print statement before. Let me see if we can go back to this. You remember this print statement before, right? So let me give you guys a more in-depth explanation of what the print statement does. So the print statement essentially will print something into the console of your coding language, right? So if you guys can see here, this is a console. So if I were to click run, it's gonna display something in the console of my coding language, right? And this basically just tells the computer, okay, everything that I put into this print statement in between this, everything in these parentheses, right? Or something in this parenthesis, I will tell my console to print, right? I will tell my console to print this, which means this printing just means display on the console, right? So yeah, for example, I can print any data type. I can print a string, I can print a float, a data structure, a boolean, an integer. I can do all those 5. Or I can print a variable. So for example, if I were to do x equals to x is a variable, right? That's a string. So x, the variable, holds a data type, which is a string, right? And for example, if I were to print x, right? If I printed x, right, it's gonna print x as a variable. So anytime I print a variable, every time I print a variable, I'm gonna print the data type that variable is holding, right? Does that make sense? X would be like 3.152. And then I'll print 3.1. So does that make sense? So just know that a print statement can print all 5 data types, or it can print a variable. And when it prints a variable, it's gonna print the data type or the data that variable is holding. Make sense? Good. Yeah, hopefully we're good. Let's. Okay, I don't know what I clicked. Okay, so I'm gonna skip this practice because we are a little bit late on time. But I would want you guys to write this, but hopefully you guys understand like what printing all the data types that we just talked about, how that works. So let's talk about the most important thing, I guess, or maybe the hardest thing that we're gonna learn today. Let's talk about user input. So in order to make our program more engaging, right, we can let the user input something from the console, and whatever the user inputs in the console, we're gonna store that whatever thing in there inside some sort of variable, right? And what we can do with that is how we write that is also okay, maybe this is bad. Okay, so how we define an input is we're gonna do variable name, right? This is our variable equals to the data type we want our input to be stored as. So this input, all we do, let me give you a basic example of this. So okay. So for example, if I did my input, right, equals to input, nothing, right? All I'm gonna do is after I print my input, right? Let's see what happens. So let's just say I put in 1, 2 as my input. It prints 1, 2, 3. Well, if you remember that if I were to print my input, right? If I were to print a variable, we're gonna print out the data that variable holds, right? So if I did my input equal to input and I put in 1, 2, 3 as input, this input basically just transformed into whatever I put into here. Basically transformed into 1, 2, 3, right? And this is technically not correct. Why? This is the thing I just did on the last one. But inputs are always predefined as a string. So if I didn't put anything around my input, if I didn't make it another type, it'll essentially be 1, 2, 3. Right. So when I put in 1, 2, 3 into this input, let me do this one. When I put in 1, 2, 3 into the input and I click enter, right? This input basically transforms into 1, 2, 3. Does that make sense? Does that make sense? Good. So hopefully Brendan answered your question of what is an input. And let me talk about the types that we can convert it to. So Python does a little bit of shortens the types. So if you want to convert something into a string, you do str. If you do want to convert something into an integer, you do int. Float, you do float. And then boolean, you do boolean. Those, right. So for example, if I were to do this now, I did my input, int my input, and I printed it. I did 1, 2, 3. Instead of becoming this instead of becoming this, it will now become this, right? Because now this input essentially turns into 1, 2, 3, and I'm converting this into an integer. So this will become 1, 2, 3. Just be careful. Sometimes you can't, like for example, you can't convert high into an integer, right? That's not really possible. So for example, if I were to do this and I accidentally did like high, it'll give me some error, right? Because it doesn't like converting high, this high string into an integer, right? So you only do this if you're putting in numbers, right? If I were to put in 3.1, it doesn't work as well because it doesn't like converting float into an integer, right? If I were to convert into a float, I just put a float, right? And I would do like 3.1. Does that make sense so far? Good. Any questions? No questions. Good. We're good on how inputs work, how print statements work, how the variables work, and the data types. Those four. Good. Okay. Hopefully we're good. Remember, any questions? Let me know. Let me clear my annotations real quick. So yeah. Hopefully this works. And a little extra thing you can do is sometimes if you want to let the user know what they want to input, you can give some directions into this input thing. So in between these input parentheses, so right here, we can give them some more direction, like enter a float, right? And what this will do is now our thing will have some directions instead of just having nothing else before, right? So for example, if I put in 3.4, I get 3.4. Can I? Oh, okay. So yeah, does this make sense? So what we can do is we can do input by itself, and we can add some things to input, right? We can either make the input a new type, or inside the input we can give it a display, right? It display as in like some directions that we can put it. And here's some examples of how we can write something input. So my input equals to int. That means we're gonna convert this input into an integer, right? Now inside this thing, we're gonna give them some directions, enter a number, right? Same thing with string. We don't really have to put str in here because remember that inputs are automatically a string, right? So here's some directions. So do these make sense so far? Are we good? Hopefully we understand this. So yeah. Can I try? Yeah, I can try. One sec. Let me just copy this. Copy your thing. So x equals to int. And Zoom doesn't let me copy anything. So like this even. So this will just give me plain number. So if I put in 3, if I put in once I put in 3, this essentially just becomes 3. Right? You can think of it as that. It doesn't really happen in your code, but you can think of it as that happens. Then put y a random number? What do you mean? Like what do you mean a random number? Like y equals 7? Still works. If I put in like 2, I mean y still is equal to 7, right? If I like print y after. Right? I mean I'm still printing y, which is 7, right? So print x equal to 1. You can't do this. This won't work. This won't work because if you're checking for equality, you use two things. So plus. Yeah, so this math thing we'll get into in a second. So if I were to like 5, so we should get 12, right? So we do get 12. Good, makes sense. And if I didn't have this, this should give me an error. So, see, it doesn't like adding a string with an integer, so that doesn't work, right? So Ben, does that answer your question? Okay, perfect. Oh yeah, let me quickly move on. Let's quickly answer this question. I'll give you guys 30 seconds. Real quick, read it. Give me some A, B, C, or D. Because it's already fun. So. Yeah. Brandon, do you have a question? Yeah, so something best for integer input will be B. Why? Because we say enter a number and we convert it into an integer. That means my input will store an integer, right? So yeah. Okay, any questions on why it's not B or why it is B? I guess. Okay, perfect. So I was gonna also do a practice, but hopefully I'll post these slides and hopefully you guys can work on these practices on your own time. So I guess I was gonna say you guys didn't have any homework, but I guess now you have homework. So I want you guys to do this practice and I want you guys to do this practice. Okay, so hopefully it should take you hopefully less than 10 minutes. Again, since this is probably your first time coding, we'll do an icebreaker next class, but hopefully this is your first time. If this is your first time coding, try your best to do it. I know it might be a little daunting at first to like get into how you code stuff. Remember, you can always email me. I should put my email. I think I put it here somewhere. Okay, I did. Don't worry about it on Discord and Instagram. I don't use those anymore. I like switched it a little bit, so it doesn't really work anymore. So yeah. So for review, remember today we learned about 5 types of variables. We talked mostly about 4: integers, floats, strings, booleans, and data structures, which we'll be getting to in future classes. And make sure your variable names are meaningful, meaning they represent your data, right? And for printing, when we're printing something, all we're doing is whatever that something is, put it on the console. Put it on the console, right? It's going to show up in the console, right? And we can print any data type. There should be types of data. But well, we can print some sort of data, right? We can print hello, we can print my variable, we can do 1, right? My variable is a variable. So what we do is when we print a variable, we print the value or the data stored in that variable, right? So yeah, and then inputs just allow us to make that thing more meaningful. I don't know what I just did. Okay, so yeah, it allows our program to be more interactive. And the format is, variable name, some variable, equals to the type, the input, we convert it into a type, and inside the input, we can give it some directions, right? And just know that inputs are predefined as a string, unless you make it another type, right? So, make sense? Any questions? If not, that was our first class. So hopefully, I lied about no homework, by the way. So, hopefully, this class kind of got you be like, okay, well, computer science is pretty cool, right? Some cool stuff in there. Remember, any questions? You can do my Gmail. I think that Gmail still works. So, because I changed my Discord and Instagram, so they don't work anymore. I don't know if you guys should be texting me out there. So, just you can do it on my Gmail. I'll post both homeworks as the homework on Google Classroom. So I think we have a Google Classroom somewhere. I don't think I joined it yet though. So, I'll join it right after this class. So, yeah, thanks for coming to this first class. I'll see you guys on our next